She was about to give birth when he packed his bags and walked out, leaving his 9-month pregnant wife for a lover 20 years younger. "You'll never see me again," he said, without looking back. What he didn't know was that, on that very same day, a letter locked inside the hospital's safe would reveal a $60 million inheritance in her name. And the real reason behind that fortune, no one could ever imagine. The rain falls heavily on that October afternoon, and Rachel is standing in the doorway of the house she herself helped build, brick by brick, dream by dream. Your hands shake as you hold an old suitcase, the kind you buy at a thrift store because you don't have money for anything better. Her belly is huge, so big that she can barely breathe properly. 9 months. 9 months carrying a life inside her, and now it's being thrown out as if it were garbage. Derek is there in the room that used to be theirs, next to a woman Rachel barely knows, Vanessa. Perfectly brushed blonde hair, nails done, that artificial tanned skin that screams digital influencer. She smiles. It's not a smile of someone who won something. It's a smile of someone who destroyed something and is loving every second of it. "Sign those papers right away." "Rachel!" Derek throws the documents in her direction, which fall on the wet floor of the doorframe. "Divorce papers. You have 24 hours to leave, and it doesn't come with drama, okay? We've already talked about it." Rachel feels the hot tears mixing with the cold rain on her face. "Derek, I'm 9 months pregnant. From your daughter. How can you do that now? How?" "Because I'm done," he says, and the coldness in his voice is worse than any scream. "I'm tired of this mediocre life, of this house falling apart, of you complaining about bills to pay. Vanessa showed me that I deserve more, much more." Vanessa approaches, placing her hand on Derek's shoulder in a possessive manner. "Honey, you don't need to explain anything to her. People like her will never understand what it is to live well." She looks Rachel up and down in disgust. "Look at you. No family, no money, nothing. Derek deserves someone who is on the same level as him. Someone with a future." "Future?" Rachel laughs, but it's a joyless laugh. "Derek, we built everything together. I worked 2 jobs for you to be able to finish that course. And what do you want? A trophy?" Derek interrupts her. "I didn't ask you to do any of that. You chose. And now I choose. I choose Vanessa. I choose a better life. I choose not to be a poor person anymore." Rachel tries to get closer, but Derek raises his hand, stopping her. "Don't touch me. Take your things and leave. The house is mine. It's in my name. You have no right to anything. And our daughter." Rachel's voice is broken now. "Don't you want to meet your daughter?" "Daughter?" Vanessa lets out a giggle. "Honey, do you think we will want a child at this stage of our life? We're going to travel the world, make amazing content for my Instagram. There is no room for dirty diapers in all this." Derek looks away, unable to look Rachel in the eye. "You always wanted to be a mother. So be it. Alone, I didn't sign a contract for that." It is at this moment that something breaks inside Rachel. It's not just the heart. It's the last hope she had that the man she'd loved for 10 years still existed there somewhere. But it doesn't exist. Derek is gone, and in his place, there is only a cruel and cowardly stranger. "You're going to regret it," Rachel says quietly, picking up her suitcase. "Oh, sure. The classic threat of the desperate ex." Vanessa rolls her eyes. "Honey, close that door soon. It's windy." Derek obeys. The door closes with a bang, and Rachel is there alone on the sidewalk, the rain soaking her clothes, the heavy suitcase in one hand and the other holding her belly where her daughter moves, as if she were also feeling the rejection. She doesn't know where to go. He has no family. He has no friends close enough to knock on the door at 8 at night asking for shelter. He has $300 in the account at most, maybe enough for a cheap motel for a few days, but then she has no idea. A sudden contraction makes her double in pain. "No, not now, please," she whispers to her belly. "Just a little longer, my love. Just let Mom find a safe place first." But the pain comes again, stronger. And Rachel knows. He knows that he will not have a little more. Your daughter is coming, now, and she's completely alone in the world. She begins to walk down the street, dragging the suitcase, looking for any place that can welcome her. A light on, an open door, anything. And then she sees a small old church with an illuminated cross in front. The doors are open. Rachel is not religious. It never was. But at that moment, with the rain falling and the contractions coming faster and faster, that church seems like the answer to a prayer she didn't even know she had prayed. She staggers in, her suitcase falling to the old wooden floor with a dull thud. "Please," she moans. "Please, someone. I need help." A woman appears from the back, a lady in her 60s with grey hair tied in a bun and gentle eyes. "My God, dear, are you in labor?" I think so." Rachel can barely speak between contractions. It's okay now." The woman holds her firmly and affectionately. "My name is Margaret. I take care of this church. We'll take you to the back room. There's a sofa there." "I'm going to call the hospital." "No." Rachel interrupts her, desperate. I don't have money for the hospital. I don't have health insurance. I have nothing." Margaret looks into her eyes and sees. He sees all the pain, all the despair, all the abandonment. And without hesitation, she says, "So we do it right here. I've already helped 3 births in my life, dear. You're not going to get through this alone." And for the first time on that horrible day, Rachel cries with relief. But to understand how Rachel got to that moment, abandoned and alone, it is necessary to go back in time. Going back 10 years, when everything seemed possible and love seemed to be enough to overcome any obstacle. Rachel was 22 years old when she met Derek. She was working in a 24-hour cafeteria, on the night shift, that time when only drunks, truck drivers and people who have nowhere to go appear. Derek came in at 3 in the morning, looking like he'd been fighting with the whole world. He ordered a coffee and stayed there, stirring the cup without drinking, looking nowhere. "How are you?" Rachel asked, because she's always been like this. He always cared too much about people. "My dad kicked me out of the house," Derek said, his voice weary in his voice. "He said that I am a failure because I dropped out of college, that he will not support a bum." Rachel sat on the other side of the counter, even though she knew the manager would complain if she saw it. "You're not a failure. Sometimes we just need some time to find out what we want out of life." Derek looked at her for the first time, for real, and he smiled. A crooked smile, half broken but sincere. "Are you always like this? Nice to strangers who show up in the middle of the night?" "Only with the ones who seem to need it," she smiled back. That was the first of many nights. Derek started showing up all the time at 3 in the morning, and they talked about everything, about his dreams of being a graphic designer, about her past in the shelters, about how the two were survivors in their own way. 3 months later, Derek asked her to date with a drawing he made himself, a half-crooked heart with their initials inside. "It wasn't perfect," he said, embarrassed. "It's beautiful," Rachel replied, and it was true, because it was made with love. They got married a year later in a simple ceremony at the registry office with 2 witnesses they caught on the street. There was no party, no honeymoon, but there was hope. They rented a tiny apartment, shared a plate of ramen noodles when money was tight, and slept cuddling on a mattress on the floor because they had no bed. "We'll make it," Derek said, kissing her forehead. "You and I against the world, remember?" And Rachel believed. With every fiber of her being, she believed. The years passed. Rachel worked in the morning in a bakery and in the afternoon as a cleaner. Derek did some freelance design work, but never anything very consistent. He said that it was difficult to enter the market, that he needed better equipment, a more modern computer. Rachel saved for 8 months and bought him a MacBook for his 27th birthday. "My love, that must have cost a fortune," Derek said, looking at the gift with teary eyes. "It's worth every penny if it helps you achieve your dream," Rachel said. But the computer hasn't changed at all. Derek kept complaining that companies didn't give him opportunities, that the market was saturated, that he needed contacts. Rachel enrolled in a nursing technician because it paid better. And for 2 years, she worked during the day and studied at night, coming home exhausted just to cook Derek's dinner and listen to him complain about how difficult the day had been. She never complained. Because love was that, right? Support, care, believe in the other, even when he did not believe in himself. The pregnancy was not planned. Rachel found out one morning, after 2 weeks of feeling sick. She took 3 tests just to be sure, and all 3 were positive. She cried with happiness. "I always wanted to be a mother." She always wanted to have the family she never had. Derek didn't react as she expected. "Pregnant now?" he said, running his hands through his hair. "Rachel, we can barely pay rent. I know it's not the ideal time, but isn't that the right time?" He cut her off. "It's the worst possible moment. I'm trying to take off my career, and now there's going to be a baby crying all the time, spending money we don't have." Rachel felt as if she had been punched in the stomach.
You...
Don't you want our baby? Derek sighed, rubbing his face. That's not it. It's a lot of pressure, Rachel. A lot of pressure, but he accepted, or at least pretended to accept. In the first months, he was even affectionate, put his hand on her belly, talked to the baby. Rachel thought it was okay, that they were going to make it, as they always did. But in the 5th month of pregnancy, Derek began to change. He went out more, came back late, always with excuses. I'm networking, love. Meeting people in the area. His cell phone lived with the screen down. He was taking a shower with his phone in the bathroom. And when Rachel asked something, he exploded, "Don't you trust me? After everything we've been through." And she felt guilty. Guilty for doubting, guilty for questioning, guilty for not being enough. It was in the 7th month that Rachel found out. Derek's cell phone rang while he was in the shower, and she saw the name on the screen, Vanessa. Messages and more messages, pictures, plans. "I can't wait for you to get rid of her, and we can finally live our lives." Rachel sat on the kitchen floor, reading the messages, each one like a stab. Derek bad-mouthing her to another woman, calling it heavy, sticky anchor, saying that I was just waiting for the right moment to finish. When Derek got out of the shower and saw Rachel with the cell phone, he didn't even try to deny it. He didn't even apologize. "You read it," he said simply. "How could you?" Rachel could barely speak, tears flowing. "I'm pregnant with your child, and you think I asked for that?" Derek screamed. "Do you think I want this life? Look at us, Rachel. We have nothing, and there never will be. Because you have no ambition, you have no family with money, you have nothing to offer me but more bills and more problems. I loved you. I worked to support you. And should I be grateful for that? Because you make me feel like a failure every day." Derek laughed, cruel. "Vanessa makes me feel important. She has followers, contacts, a real life, and she wants to take me along. You just pull me down." Rachel wanted to scream, she wanted to cry, she wanted to die right there. But she had a life inside her, a child who needed her strong. So she just said, "Get out of my way." But Derek didn't leave. She was the one who slept on the couch that night. And the following nights while he continued to live there, bringing Vanessa into their house, laughing out loud, as if Rachel was invisible, until that rainy afternoon, even the divorce papers, until the door closed in her face. And now Rachel was in an old church in labor, while Margaret took her hand and said, "Breathe, dear. Just a little more. Your daughter is almost here," Rachel breathed. And he pushed, and he screamed, and he cried. And at 4:30 in the morning, Emily was born. Small, red, crying loudly but perfect. "Look at her." Margaret placed the baby in Rachel's arms, both wrapped in old blankets. "Look at your girl," Rachel looked. And for the first time in months, she really smiled. "Hi, my love." "Hi, Emily." The first days after giving birth were the hardest of Rachel's life. Margaret installed her in a tiny room at the back of the church, with a single bed and a makeshift crib made of wooden crates lined with soft blankets. Emily cried a lot during the nights, and Rachel, still recovering from childbirth, crawled out of bed to breastfeed, change diapers, lullaby. Everything hurt. The body, the heart, the soul. "You need to eat right," Margaret said every morning, bringing hot soup and homemade bread. "You can't take care of this baby if you don't take care of yourself first. I don't know how I'm going to pay you for all this," Rachel always said, her voice broken with gratitude and shame. "Honey, there are things that you can't pay for with money." Margaret sat on the edge of the bed holding her hand. "You're here because God wanted you to be, and I'm here because that's where I need to be." It was on the 4th day, when Rachel was finally able to get up and take a decent shower, that Margaret knocked on the door of the little room with a strange expression on her face. "Rachel, there's a man here wanting to talk to you." Rachel's heart raced. "Is that Derek?" "No, it's not him. He is a lawyer. He said he's been looking for you for months." A lawyer? Rachel didn't know any lawyers. There was no one to leave an inheritance. There was no one who could be suing her for something. Heart in mouth, she put Emily in the makeshift crib and made her way to the church room, where a man in a dark grey suit was waiting, a leather briefcase in his hands. He was tall, about 50 years old, with grey hair at his temples and a serious but not cruel expression. When he saw Rachel, he stood up immediately. "Miss Rachel Morgan?" "Yes." "It's me," Rachel replied, confused. What do you want with me? The man took a deep breath, as if he knows he will say something that will change everything. My name is Charles Thompson. I am an attorney at Thompson & Associates in Boston. I've been looking for you for 8 months. Why? I didn't do anything wrong. Rachel felt the panic rising. I don't have the money to pay anything if... Please sit down. Mr. Thompson made a gentle gesture. This is not about debts or lawsuits. It's about your family. Rachel sat slowly, her legs wobbly. My family? I don't have a family. I grew up in shelters because my mother died when I was born and I never knew my father. I know. And I am deeply sorry for the difficulties you faced. Mr. Thompson opened the briefcase, taking out documents. But the truth is that you have family. Or rather, it had. His maternal grandmother, Eleanor Whitmore, passed away 3 months ago. Rachel blinked, trying to process. My grandmother? I didn't even know it existed. She existed, and she spent the last 15 years of her life looking for you. Mr. Thompson began to tell the story. Eleanor Whitmore had been a successful businesswoman, owning a chain of boutique hotels on the East Coast. When her only daughter, Rachel's mother, became pregnant at 18 by a man Eleanor disapproved of, there was a terrible fight. Eleanor gave an ultimatum. Either her daughter gave up the pregnancy and the relationship, or she would be disinherited and expelled from home. Eleanor's daughter chose love and the daughter she carried in her womb. She left home, cut off contact with her mother, and tried to build a life with Rachel's father. But he abandoned them before birth. And Rachel's mother, alone and without resources, died of complications in childbirth, leaving the newborn Rachel in the care of the state. It took Eleanor years to figure out what had happened, Mr. Thompson continued, his voice heavy. When she was finally able to track down the story, when she found out that her daughter had died and that there was a granddaughter somewhere in the shelter system, she was devastated. Devastated by pride, by stubbornness, by wasted time. Did she look for me? Rachel asked, her voice barely audible. For 15 years. But you changed shelters so many times, were adopted briefly by 2 families who returned you to the system, legally changed your name when you turned 18. It was extremely difficult to track it down. Eleanor hired the best private investigators, but the bureaucracy, the lost records, the constant changes. We were only able to locate her 4 months ago. Rachel felt the tears flowing. 4 months ago? I was still with Derek. We still had a fixed address, and exactly. But when we arrived at the address, you had already left. Or rather, she had been expelled. We've spent the last few months desperately looking for you, checking hospitals, shelters, anywhere. And my grandmother? Rachel asked. Why didn't she come in person? Mr. Thompson lowered his eyes. She was sick. Cancer in an advanced stage. She really wanted to meet you. She wanted to be able to apologize in person, but she didn't have time. You passed away 3 months ago, but you left very clear instructions that I shouldn't stop looking, that I had to find you anyway. Rachel covered her face with her hands, sobbing. A grandmother. She had had a grandmother all this time. A grandmother who looked for her, who cared, who regretted it. And she never had the chance to meet her. Margaret moved closer, placing her hand on Rachel's shoulder in silent support. There's something more, Mr. Thompson said gently, waiting for Rachel to compose herself a little. Eleanor left a will, and in it, she left it all to you. All his fortune, all his property, everything. What do you mean? Everything? Rachel wiped away her tears. Eleanor Whitmore's fortune, including hotels, investments, properties, and liquid assets, is valued at approximately $60 million. And now all of that belongs to you. The silence that fell in the room was absolute. Rachel looked at Mr. Thompson as if he had spoken in another tongue. $60 million? That was not possible. Things like that didn't happen to people like her. I don't understand, she stammered. It's real, Miss Morgan. Completely real and legal. Here are all the documents, certificates, proofs. Once you sign some papers, and we go through the legal process, which should take about 2 weeks, all the assets will be officially transferred to your name. Rachel looked at Margaret, who had her hands on her chest, also crying. He looked at the folder full of documents that Mr. Thompson was holding. He looked at his own hands, still calloused from work, still bruised from the hard life. Why did she do that? Rachel asked. Why did she leave everything to me if she didn't even know me? Mr. Thompson smiled sadly, taking a white envelope from his briefcase. She left a letter for you. She asked me to deliver it personally when I met her. Rachel picked up the envelope with trembling hands. He opened it slowly, pulling out sheets of thin paper, handwritten in elegant but trembling handwriting. He began to read, and the tears came back with full force. My dear granddaughter Rachel, if you're reading this, it means I'm already gone, and that Charles has finally managed to find her. Forgive me for not being able to be there in person. Forgive me for so many things. I made the biggest mistake of my life when I kicked your mother out of the house. The pride, the arrogance, the certainty that I knew what was best. All of this cost me my daughter. It cost me you. It cost me years of love that I will never be able to recover. When I found out that my Sarah had died in childbirth, that you had grown up alone in the system, without family, without knowing that you had a grandmother who would have done anything for you. It broke me in a way that cancer never could. This money, these properties, all of it doesn't mean anything compared to what I lost, but that's all I can give you right now. Use it to have the life you deserve. Use it to be happy in a way that I never managed to be. And if you ever have children, love them unconditionally. Don't make my mistakes. Don't let pride steal love. With all the regret and all the love I could never show your grandmother Eleanor. Rachel folded the letter carefully, pressing it to her chest. Emily began to cry in the little room, and Rachel automatically stood up, wiping away her tears. I need to go take care of my daughter, she said. Of course, Mr. Thompson stood up too. I will leave my cards and the preliminary documents here with Mrs. Margaret. When you feel ready, get in touch. There is no hurry. The money will be waiting when you're ready to receive it. But before leaving, he turned around once more. Miss Morgan, your grandmother would be very proud of you. From what I saw in the investigators' reports, you are a survivor. A fighter. You deserve every penny of this inheritance. While Rachel found out about the inheritance that would change her life forever, Derek was on the other side of town, living what he thought would be his paradise. The house he had taken from Rachel was now filled with Vanessa's things, designer clothes scattered everywhere, expensive shoeboxes piled up in the hallway, professional photography equipment taking up half the room. Honey, did you see my Tiffany ring? Vanessa screamed from the room, rummaging through drawers. I need him for today's photo. It has to match the bag. Derek was in the kitchen, staring at the pile of bills on the table. Credit card, electricity bill, car installment. Everything is late, everything piling up in a way he could no longer control. In the last 2 months since Vanessa officially moved in, the money had simply evaporated. Derek, do you hear me? Vanessa showed up in the kitchen, already all dressed up, impeccable makeup, clothes that cost more than Derek earned in a month. I am, he said, tired. Your ring is in the bathroom, I think. You left it there yesterday when you took those skincare photos. Oh, that's right, she picked up her phone, not even looking at it. I need you to take me to the mall today. I'm going to have to buy a new dress for tomorrow's event. Vanessa, we already have our cards maxed out. I can't what? She finally looked at him, her eyes narrowing. Derek, you promised you would give me a good life. You said that we were going to live without limits, that you were going to do everything to make me happy. I know, but nothing. I gave up other opportunities to be with you. There were 3 guys wanting me. 3 guys with much more money than you, but I chose you, because you promised it would be different. Derek felt anger growing in his chest, but he also felt fear. Fear of losing Vanessa, fear of going back to being that lonely and failed guy. Okay, I'll find a way. I'm going to get an extra freelancer. I'm going to... Great, Vanessa cut off, already returning to the room. Oh, and it reminds me to post that photo of us at dinner on Saturday. There is a lot of engagement. The followers are loving us as a couple. Derek looked at her phone, forgotten on the kitchen table. The screen lit up with a notification, and he accidentally saw it. A message from a guy named Raphael. When are you going to drop this loser and come to Miami with me? Derek's stomach turned. He took out his cell phone, read the whole conversation. Vanessa flirting with several men, saying that she was with Derek only temporarily, that she was waiting for a better opportunity to appear. The messages were days old, weeks, since before she moved home. Vanessa? Derek entered the room holding her cell phone. What is this? She looked, and instead of looking guilty, she looked annoyed. Are you going through my things now? Really? You're flirting with other guys, saying that he is with me only temporarily. And I really am, she shrugged, applying lip gloss. Derek, did you really think this was forever? Please, I'm an influencer with 400,000 followers. You're an unemployed designer living in a house that's falling apart. I'm here because it's convenient, because the couple in love content yields, but as soon as something better comes along." She made a goodbye gesture with her hand. Derek felt like he had been shot. You made me abandon my wife, my daughter." "I didn't make you do anything," Vanessa laughed. "You did it because you wanted to, because you are cowardly and selfish, and you thought that with me your life would be better. But guess what? You are still the same failure, only now without poor Rachel to support you." It was at that moment that Derek realized. She realized that he had destroyed everything by an illusion, for a woman who never loved him, who was only using him for Instagram content to appear human and accessible to followers. "Get out of my house," he said, his voice trembling. "Your house." Vanessa laughed. "Honey, this house is gone. You are 3 months behind on rent. I saw the owner's letters. You're going to be dumped in like 2 weeks. So relax, I was already planning to leave." She started throwing her clothes in a suitcase quickly and efficiently, as if she had already done it 1,000 times. Derek stood there watching, unable to react. In 20 minutes, Vanessa was ready, suitcase in hand, already calling an Uber on her cell phone. At the door, she turned one last time. "Oh, and Derek, thank you for the content. The photos of our romance earned me 15,000 new followers and 3 partnerships with brands. It was worth it." The door slammed, and Derek was alone, completely alone. In the following days, everything fell apart for good. Derek lost the steady job he had gotten 3 months ago because he spent all his time doing Vanessa's bidding instead of working properly. The owner of the house actually gave the eviction notice. The bills piled up. The cards were all blocked. Derek tried to get back to his father's house, but the old man just said, "I told you so. I warned you that you were going to be screwed with these choices. So now turn around." He tried to call some friends, but they had all drifted away when he started hanging out with Vanessa, when he started behaving like he was better than everyone else. And Rachel he had expelled in the cruelest way possible. One night, lying on the old couch in the almost empty living room, Derek took out his cell phone and scrolled through the old photos. There was one of him and Rachel on their 2-year wedding anniversary, smiling in front of a cheap supermarket cake. There was another honeymoon that they never had, just an afternoon in the municipal park, sitting on the grass eating sandwiches. There were dozens of photos of her pregnant, happy, believing that they were going to be a family. "What did I do?" Derek whispered into the void. "My God, what did I do?" He picked up the phone, dialed Rachel's number. He didn't complete it. The number was off. Of course he was. She probably didn't even have the money to keep her cell phone on. Derek ran his fingers over his face, feeling the weight of each wrong decision. His daughter had been born. Somewhere he had a daughter he never knew. Her daughter he rejected before she was even born. It was then, in that moment of utter despair, that Derek saw it. He saw a news item on his Instagram feed, a photo of a woman in a digital business magazine. The title, "Heiress Regains Family Fortune. Rachel Morgan Takes Over $60 million Hotel Empire." Derek clicked. Read, reread. It couldn't be. It couldn't be your Rachel, but it was. The photo showed her, thinner but smiling, holding a baby in her arms. Emily. It had to be Emily. The story told the story of the inheritance, how Eleanor Whitmore had left everything to the granddaughter she never met, how Rachel had used some of the money to create a foundation that helped single mothers in vulnerable situations. Rachel Morgan, who has spent years working multiple jobs to make ends meet, says wealth doesn't change who she is. "I know what it's like to be hungry, to know what it's like to have nowhere to go," she said in an exclusive interview. "This fortune is not only mine, it's a responsibility to help those who are going through what I went through." Derek put down his phone, his hands shaking. $60 million, $60 million, and he had thrown her away. He had thrown away the woman who was now one of the richest in the city. But it wasn't about money, at least not only. It was about having lost the only person who truly loved him, the only person who believed in him when no one else did. And he had destroyed it. I had destroyed her, out of pride, out of greed, for being a complete idiot. Derek began to cry. She cried as she had not cried since she was a child. She cried until she had no more tears. And when he finally stopped, When he was finally able to breathe again, he had an idea, a desperate, pathetic idea. But it was all he had. He would go to Rachel. I was going to beg forgiveness. I was going to say that he made a mistake, that he was a monster, but that he had changed. I was going to ask for a second chance. He was going to meet Emily. He was going to be the father he should have been from the beginning. She was going to forgive. I had to forgive, because Rachel has always been too kind. She has always cared too much. She was going to see that he was truly sorry and was going to let him come back. Derek got up from the couch, already planning what he was going to say, how he was going to dress, how he was going to look as sorry as possible. He had no idea how wrong he was. Rachel was in the living room of the mansion she now called home, a 3-story estate in one of the city's most affluent neighborhoods. Emily slept in the crib next to her, wrapped in cashmere blankets, surrounded by expensive educational toys that she was still too small to use. The fireplace crackled softly, and through the huge window you could see the perfectly manicured garden with stone fountains and rose bushes that looked like something out of a movie. But Rachel wasn't looking at any of that. She had her eyes fixed on her laptop, reviewing the numbers of the foundation she had created 3 months ago. Casa Eleanor, named after the grandmother she never knew. They had already helped 47 single mothers to get out of homeless situations, offering temporary housing, financial assistance, vocational courses, and free childcare. Every time Rachel saw one of these women smiling in the follow-up photos, holding their babies, she remembered herself in that little old church with Margaret holding her hand. Margaret now worked as the foundation's coordinator. Rachel had insisted. "You saved my life," she had said. "Now let me give back." An elegant intercom next to the door of the room emitted a soft sound. It was James, the security guard of the property. "Miss Morgan, there's a man at the main gate saying he needs to talk to you urgently. He says it's Guy's." Rachel frowned. "Did he give the name?" "Derek Morgan, ma'am. He says he's her ex-husband." Rachel's heart jumped, but it wasn't one of hope or joy. It was something different. A mixture of old anger and nothing. An emptiness where there was love before. "Are the cameras working?" she asked calmly. "Yes, ma'am. Do you want me to transfer the image to the screen of the room?" "Please." The 70-inch TV on the wall lit up, showing the image of the main gate. And there he was. Derek. Thinner. He stared straight into the camera, his eyes red, his expression of pure despair. Rachel took Emily in her arms, as if she needed to protect her from something, even though she knew her father couldn't get past the gate. "Miss Morgan." James was waiting for instructions. Rachel took a deep breath. Part of her just wanted to send him away, pretend he didn't exist, move on. But another part needed to listen. I needed to know what he had to say, not by him. By herself. To close that door once and for all, open the audio of the gate intercom. "Let me hear what he wants." James obeyed. Derek's voice filled the room, shaky and desperate. "Rachel, Rachel, I know you're listening to me. Please, please give me just 5 minutes. 5 minutes for me to explain, for me to ask for forgiveness. I know I blew it, I know I was a monster, but I changed. I swore I changed." Rachel laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a bitter, tired laugh. "It's changed," she repeated to herself. "Of course it has changed. Now that I have money." As if Derek had heard his thoughts, he continued, "It's not about money. I swear to God it's not about money. I just want to see you, see Emily, meet my daughter, to be the father I should have been from the beginning." "Your daughter?" Rachel spoke out loud now, staring at the screen with eyes full of tears that she refused to let fall. "Your daughter? You didn't want her when she was in my womb. I didn't want her when she was born. And now you want it?" "The gate," Derek continued. "I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left you. Vanessa, she used me. It destroyed me. It left me with nothing, and I deserve it, Rachel. I deserve every second of suffering. But Emily doesn't deserve to grow up without a father. She deserves it." "James," Rachel interrupted, her voice firm now. "Open the response audio. I want him to listen to me." "Yes, ma'am." One click, and then Rachel spoke, looking directly at the camera, knowing that Derek was watching her through the intercom screen. "Derek, You had your chance to be a father. There were 9 months while I was pregnant. There was the day I begged you not to leave me on the street. He has had every second since then to look for us, to repent, to try to fix it. Rachel, Derek tried to interrupt. No. You're going. To hear me now, she continued, and there was power in her voice now. It was no longer the insecure Rachel who accepted crumbs of love. She was a woman who had survived hell and come out stronger. You haven't changed, Derek. You just got poor. If Vanessa was still with you, if you still had that illusion of a perfect life, you wouldn't even know our daughter's name. That's not true. Always what? Did you love me? Rachel laughed again, and this time she had anger in her laughter. You called me an anchor, dead weight. You said I'd never be anything, that I had nothing to offer you. And you know what's funny? You were right. I had nothing. Nothing but love, loyalty, years of my life that I have dedicated to you. Derek was crying now. She could see it on camera. Rachel, please let me fix this. Let me be a part of Emily's life. Emily? Rachel looked at her sleeping daughter in her arms. That's the name I chose, alone. While I was in labor in an old church, without you, without anyone. And do you know where you were? With Vanessa, laughing at my face, enjoying the house that was supposed to be ours? I know, and I'm sorry. So much, You feel because you've lost everything, Rachel cut him off. You're only here because you saw on the internet that I inherited money. Don't come and tell me that this is about love or about wanting to be a father. This is about you wanting a piece of what's mine. About you wanting to save yourself again. Use someone else again. No, Derek screamed, punching the gate. That's not it. Rachel, I love you. I always loved you. I lost myself. I was a fool, but I still love you. Rachel felt something break inside her, but it wasn't the heart. Her heart had already broken. It had already been patched up. She had already learned to beat again. What broke was the last chain that still bound her to this man. You don't love me, Derek. You never loved me, she said, and there was a strange peace in her voice now. You loved what I did for you. You loved having someone who supported you, who believed in you, who made you feel important. But me? Who am I really? You never wanted to know. She stood up, still holding Emily. James, I want you to tell him this. If he approaches me or my daughter again, I'll file a restraining order. I have the best lawyers in town right now, and I'm going to use all the resources I have to make sure he doesn't get close to us. Rachel, no, please, Derek screamed now, clearly hearing every word through the intercom. You can't do that. She's my daughter too. No, Rachel said firmly. She is my daughter. You gave up that right when you signed those divorce papers and threw me out on the street. You gave up when you chose Vanessa, when he chose money, status, the easy life. Now bear the consequences. She motioned for James to turn off the audio, but before he did, she said one last thing, looking Derek straight in the eye through the camera. I forgive you, Derek. I forgive not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. But forgiving doesn't mean letting you come back. It means letting you go. Forever. And then the audio turned off. The screen fell silent, showing only Derek crumbling to the ground in front of the gate, the flowers falling from his hands, his entire body shaking with sobs. Rachel turned off the TV. I didn't want to see more. James, is he still there? She asked after a few minutes. Yes, ma'am. He's sitting on the floor. Call the police if he doesn't leave in 10 minutes. But don't be pushy. Alone. Just ask him to leave. Yes, ma'am. Rachel sat back on the couch, Emily still sleeping peacefully in her arms. The baby had no idea of the drama going on. He didn't know that the father he never knew was on the other side of those high walls, begging for a chance he didn't deserve. And maybe it would be better that way. Perhaps Emily grew up without knowing the pain of rejection, without carrying the weight of a father who only appeared when it was convenient. A gentle touch on the door of the room. Rachel looked and saw Margaret entering, carrying a tray of hot tea and biscuits. I heard it through internal communication, Margaret said gently, sitting next to Rachel. Are you okay, honey? I am, Rachel replied, and it was true. She really was. For the first time in a long time, I'm really fine. You were very strong. Stronger than I would have been. It's not about strength, Rachel looked at Emily. It's about protection. It's about not letting people who have hurt us have power over us again. Margaret held Rachel's hand, squeezing it affectionately. Eleanor would be very proud of you. Rachel smiled, feeling the tears finally falling, but they were tears of relief now. I wish I had met her so badly. But you do. Margaret pointed to Rachel's heart. You know it through every choice she made, through the foundation you created, through the love you're giving to Emily. Eleanor lives in you. 3 months later, Rachel's life had completely transformed. The Casa Eleanor Foundation had already helped more than 100 women. Rachel had bought the old church where Emily was born and turned it into a community center with free classes, medical care, and psychological support. And she had met Nathan, Dr. Nathan Rivera, the pediatrician who cared for Emily. He was kind, funny, and when he looked at Rachel, it was with genuine admiration for who she was, not what she had. They were taking things slowly, but there was something there. Something true, Derek. Derek she never saw again. She heard roughly that he was working 3 jobs trying to pay off the debts Vanessa had left, that he lived in a rented room, that Vanessa had become famous dating a mill.